Hey you guys. I wanted to come here and talk to you guys about something different. I know I look a little crazy. I have no makeup on. My hair is in a bun. I just got out the shower and I'm about to go to sleep. But it's been on my mind to make a video about growing up with an incarcerated dad. I think Father's Day was Sunday, and it just brung up some memories. And I think it was like a little emotional for me because number one, my biological dad has always been incarcerated my whole life. And the only man that I know as my dad who raised me died when I was in sixth grade. And then on top of that, it was my husband's first Father's Day. And he's overseas right now. So he was a little bummed out about Father's Day too. But this is gonna be about growing up with the incarcerated dad. Do you know 2.7 million children over 2.7 million children in the United States have an incarcerated dad or mom, which is just crazy to me, like just to think about it. But I am, well, I was one of those kids. Growing up without your biological dad being present, it just, I think it brings up more feelings, and it stirs you with your emotions. It makes you kind of feel abandoned in a way, like why wasn't I good enough for you to be here? And I'm not saying that I felt abandoned with my mom, because my mom did as much as she can do. Being a single mom and raising three girls by herself, she is the real MVP. She held it down. I didn't go without. I was loved. I knew I was loved. But, I never really thought about how much a dad means to their child until I had my own child. And when I tell you guys, Kaiser adores his daddy. Kaiser adores his daddy. I can't even, even think for a second that, what Kaiser would do without his daddy, what I would do without Kai, you know. So when I watch my son and my husband's relationship, I get happy. I get really happy, and I get a little emotional too because I didn't have that from my biological dad, and I knew that I didn't want that for my child. I knew that I wanted a father who's gonna love my baby, and I didn't think I was gonna get emotional. Sorry, guys, but I knew I wanted somebody who's always gonna be there for my child. And my biological dad has a life without parole sentence. Whew, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional. And I'm not emotional about the fact that I grew up without a dad. Yeah, sometimes it is, you think like, what would life be without, what would life be with your biological dad? But just talking about my husband and my son's relationship, it just pulls all my heartstrings because this man has really showed me what love is and how a father is supposed to love their child and protect their child and provide for their child. And I didn't see that growing up. And I think not having my biological father there, and when I was younger, I didn't really see how I didn't feel that love. I didn't get that love. Even though I'm not saying my biological father didn't love me, because I know he does. Me and him have a pretty okay relationship now. I mean, the best it could get with him being incarcerated, because he's gonna be in a prison. He got life without parole. He's in there for, I think it's 6 murder charges. When I tell people that my biological dad is in prison for murder, like the looks I get, like, you know, what he did does not define me as a person. I didn't do anything. So don't, toot your nose up at me just because of someone else's mistakes. It shouldn't define your thoughts of me. You guys, I never knew how important it is until now. now that I have my own child and now that I see my child and my husband interact, I really never knew that I felt that I always had this missing piece to me. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so heartbroken and nothing like that, because my family gives me all the love I ever want, and they are my motivation that I keep on going. But the fact that I never had my biological dad, like I my biological dad, I've never remembered him being out of prison. He's been in prison my whole life. So when I went to go see him, it's always been in prison. Or I've seen him 2 years ago before I was pregnant with Kaiser, and it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I find myself getting angry at myself just because I know he wants to have a relationship with me. And yeah, we have a relationship, but sometimes I will withdraw because I feel like our relationship my whole life, even though he has been in prison, has been in and out. Like, he'll write me for a couple months, he'll call me for a couple months, and then he'll get in trouble and he'll go to the hole. So I won't hear from him for like a year. You know, so I have serious abandonment issues, and it's sad to say. I always feel like, somebody's gonna abandon me just because of that experience I went through as a child. And one day I have to look at my son and say, I would never abandon you. I'm sorry. But yeah, so growing up with an incarcerated dad is just not fun, and it's not something that I would want on anybody. Like, regardless if you're a mom or your dad, like, your kids need you. Like, I needed my father. I never was taught by my dad. Like, anything I had to go through in life, my mom has guided me through. And you know, I don't know, you guys. I just think, like, what would life would have been without my mom? Like, really, because she has been like the only person in my life prior to my husband who has never turned their back on me, has always told me I'm gonna be great. And yeah, my biological dad did that, like, through the phone or through letters, always tells me I'm gonna be blessed, I'm gonna do great things. But do you really believe that when they're not here? Like, I went through a phase in life that I feel like he didn't know me, and still to this day I still feel like he doesn't know me. Like, he thinks he knows me so well. He always says, I know you, I know you. But sometimes I think to myself, do you really know me? Do you? You've never spent a whole day with me. I've never known him to spend a whole day with me. And that really plays on your mental and your emotional state. And like I said, it makes you feel like you wasn't good enough, or you know like you got abandoned. Because once you have a child, you have to give that this lifestyle that you have before you have a child. Once you have a child, that lifestyle has to go. So I changed my whole life for Kaza, my whole life, and I would do it all over again for my baby boy. And now that I'm a mom, I think to myself, like, was I not good enough for you to change your life, for you to get out the streets and stop selling drugs and stop doing the things that you were doing and riding around and going to the club all the time? Was I not good enough? Was your baby girl not good enough? And it plays with you. It really does. But you guys, I don't know, with Father's Day that just rolled by, I really started to think to myself and say to myself, like, growing up without a dad was hard, but you made it through. You made it through. And when I say nobody can say they're more proud of me than myself and my mom, I mean that. Growing up without a dad is just something that I wouldn't want for anybody, especially not for a child who didn't ask to be here. No, these kids do not ask to be here, but you don't want to take care of your kids, or you want to live this street gangster thug life when you have a family at home. I understand that you gotta do what you gotta do to put, food in your kid's mouth, but you could go get a job and, do what everybody else do to take care of their kids. And a lot of people, when I tell people what my biological father is in prison for, they ask me, and I tell them like, yeah, he got life without parole for 6 murders. They ask me, did he do it? Honestly, you guys, I don't know. I don't know. I know that he's a changed man. Like I said before, he really doesn't know me like he think he knows me, and I really don't know him like I think I know him, because we never spent more than 2 hours together. Every time we seen each other, it's never been over 2 hours. So I mean, I don't know. That's only for him and God to answer. Everybody has their judgment days, but I'm just, I don't know, you guys. Father's Day really just opened up a wound for me, and I blocked it so long. And then just thinking about it, and just thinking every time my son sees my husband on FaceTime since he's gone, he jumps up and screams daddy. And I really think to myself like, dang, I wish I had that relationship with my father. I really did, because every little girl, every little boy needs their dad. There's things that I didn't want to go to my mom for, but I did, just because I didn't have anybody else but my mom, other than my aunts and aunties. But regardless of the fact, I feel like I'm here. Yeah, my dad has been incarcerated my whole life, but I did not become a statistic. I did not become a teen mom. I did not run the street. I did not do any of the things that people said I was going to do just because they knew who my father was. I'm proud of myself. I make my mama proud. I have a loving, caring husband, a child who adores me, a family who loves me, and a promising future with God by my side. Anything is possible. And I just want to just come in here and just let you guys know that, yeah, your parents might be incarcerated, or your dad or your mom might be incarcerated, but that does not define you. It doesn't. Don't let it get you down too much. Don't let it play on your conscience too much, because what anybody else has done before you does not reflect on you. And you could do so much more, and you are destined for greatness, just like me. And yeah, it's gonna be okay. Like, I grew up loving family, loving mom, and I turned out great. And I'm happy. I am truly happy. And I know this video might push somebody's buttons on my dad's side of the family, but they don't know how it feels to grow up with an incarcerated dad. Only I do. And this is my story of growing up with an incarcerated dad. And my story is still being written. My dad is still in prison for life without parole. And we are still trying to communicate. So, I mean, this is me, and this is how I feel, and this is my story, and this is my truth. So I'm going to speak it. You guys, I'm going to get some rest. I have work in the morning, but I'm so happy that I have YouTube to express my feelings to. I'm always going to drop my email down below if you have any questions, or if you're dealing with an incarcerated parent. I'm more than happy to help you through this time and give you words of encouragement, because at the end of the day, we're all here to lift each other up. So, thank you guys, and have a great night.